Hurricane Melissa is about to make landfall into Jamaica this morning, and unfortunately, it has remained a 175 mile per hour Category 5 hurricane overnight. A lot of times, with these higher end hurricanes, they undergo what we call eye wall replacement cycles. It's where that inner eye wall, what goes around the low level circulation, crumbles apart, the outer eye wall becomes the new inner eye wall. It weakens these systems for a time period, sometimes 6 hours, sometimes an entire day, and that has not happened with Melissa. So we continue to have a powerful high-end hurricane this morning. So we're going to go over the latest information that we have one last time for our family here in Jamaica. But I know a lot of people in Jamaica are just obviously hunkering down. A lot of people probably don't even have power. But I did just want to jump on here one last time and get very detailed. And we will speak on Eastern Cuba, the Bahamas, Bermuda, and Atlantic Canada also. Timestamps will be up throughout the entire video. Definitely take advantage of them. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. We are praying for our family here in the Caribbean. Let's get going this morning. Category 5 hurricane. You can see the cleared out dry eye. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to see right where the middle of this hurricane is, right? The eye of the hurricane. Even if you're not into the weather, you know what the eye of the hurricane is, right? This is moving right towards Jamaica. It was moving west for a while last night. A lot of people were questioning some things, including me. I'll admit it. But this has now started to move north-northeast and is heading right towards the southern to southwest coastline of Jamaica, where it will ultimately make a landfall as a Category 5 hurricane. And then it will make it up into eastern Cuba sometime this evening, tonight, just sometime in the PM hours or so. But cold cloud tops going around this system. It's pretty incredible how this has remained a Category 5 hurricane for so long. So the latest from the National Hurricane Center as of the 5 a.m. update. And note, guys, I'm making this video is around 6:20 Eastern time. So some of this information, by the time a lot of you folks watch this, this will be making landfall into Jamaica. But it has its central pressure is at 901 millibars. It beats Katrina now. 175 mile per hour hurricane. And I keep mentioning Katrina just because we all know what Katrina did, right? Katrina got all the way down to 902. Melissa is now down to 901. Could it get sub 900? Some recon data from some of the hurricane hunters actually registered sub 900. But right now, 901. Moving north-northeast at 5 miles per hour. So it's heading right towards Jamaica. Latest on the track. It's right in the middle of the cone now. Okay, eye of the hurricane right here. And I really wanted to pull up the actual radar, but the Jamaica radar is having some issues, and rightfully so. I mean, things are really bad. There's a lot of traffic. Everybody's trying to check the radar, I'm sure. But I do want to pull up my Google Maps here and just kind of reference a couple areas. And just give me 1 second. So if you live in that Savannah-Lamar area, Westmoreland, hopefully I'm saying this right, the Black River, all the way down to even Treasure Beach, okay? And even as far, as far west as the far western areas of Jamaica. Montego Bay, even though it's on the northern end of the island, you guys are going to see all-out hurricane force conditions. But what blows my mind is the cone is still pretty wide for the southwest areas of Jamaica here. So there could be some wobbles, and I think that's really what they're seeing here. So here comes the eye right here. It could wobble over here, and you think, well, and I'm not saying and assuming you're thinking this, but you might think, hey, well, there's not a huge difference. A couple miles is a huge difference between 150, 160 mile per hour winds and just 90 to 100 mile per hour winds. I'm telling you, that inner eye wall is very small, and this is a very compact hurricane. Okay, so who's going to get the brunt of it? I mean, what is it? How do you say it? Luana Point likes that area, but right around, I don't know if y'all call it Highway A2, but right around that coastline from Savannah-Lamar all the way down to Black River, all the way down to Alligator Point, somewhere in this area, it's going to make landfall. Mandyville, Cambridge, it's going to go right over the higher terrain. Trelawney, Falmouth, I'm probably butchering some names. I do apologize. I'm not trying to do that, you guys. I know you guys know that. But wherever the core of this hurricane goes, that's where you're going to see devastation as far as winds. And it's saying around 2 p.m. this afternoon, A Category 5 hurricane will be right over western Jamaica. Then from 2 p.m. Tuesday, today, to 2 a.m. tonight, Wednesday morning, it's going to make landfall as a mid-grade Category 4 hurricane sometime tonight, probably after midnight, into eastern Cuba where we have hurricane warnings. So all these communities into eastern Cuba that's, more so centered in this cone. And remember, this is not the impact cone. This is where the center, that low-level circulation, the center of the storm could go. You're still going to get impacts over here in Cuba. You're still going to get impacts over here. And then we get into the Bahamas. By tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m., still a high-end Category 2 hurricane, almost still a major. And to look at some Google Maps here and to mention a couple areas, okay, here in the Bahamas. All right, the Acklands, Crooked Island is a big area to watch out for. Okay, Samana Cay. All right, the southern end of Long Island. One of these days, I'm going to memorize all this. Mayagana, hopefully I'm saying that right, which is right here. But this area right here, Crooked Island and the southern end of Long Island, this is the area I'm concerned about the most. But all these areas in red have hurricane warnings, even all the way up here into, you got hurricane warnings all the way. Man, it's not telling me what island this is. I apologize. I'm just trying to get personal with this, okay, and mention as many places as I can. Whatever island this is, hurricane warnings. Okay, then still a Category 2 hurricane by 2 a.m. Thursday. And then it picks up a lot of forward speed. Okay, and then it should be sometime late Thursday night into the wee hours of morning Friday morning. The center of what's left of, and I say what's left of because I think this begins to lose a lot of its tropical characteristics. What's left of Melissa should be just west of Bermuda. But still, Bermuda getting significant impacts. And right now, the Avalon Peninsula is not in the cone, but you're close. Remember, this is not the impact cone. So you're going to get some impacts from this. And this is around 2 a.m. Saturday. It's crazy getting into November 1st. I think you will get some impacts this weekend. But significant impacts, I doubt it. So, yeah. And I really wanted to pull up the radar, guys. But it just won't pull up for me. But this is what he was able to get the radar up. He posted this about 45 minutes ago. And you can't even see Jamaica. Jamaica's right in here, but you can see the eye of the hurricane on radar. And I will try to pull it up here on the fly just to see what we can do here. And yeah, too many requests. And everybody and their brother's trying to see what's going on here. So let's go over some hurricane models. And some might think, well, this is kind of pointless because this is about to happen. Well, I do want to note, and I want to go back. Come on. I want to go back to look at this really quick. So this is, this thing is coming up. It's coming fast. It looks like, and I would say even the H-Wharf model is a little bit too far west with this. Yeah, definitely. So we look at the HFA model, it's a little bit too far east. So what's the middle ground model? There really isn't one. All we can do is just look at this stuff. Okay? But the H-Wharf model has this making landfall about midday today, but it just looks like it's going to happen this morning. But sometimes looks can be deceiving. Like it looks like it's right there, but it still could be another several hours. Could this slow down a little bit? I doubt it because it's starting to feel the effects of the trough to the north. So I would argue that the timing is off with this. I would argue that the timing is a little bit better off the HFA model, but it's a little bit too far east. But is it? That's the big question. This could begin to turn more of a northeast instead of north-northeast and head right towards these areas right here, closer to like Treasure Beach, Alligator Point, things like that. Okay? But this does make landfall sometime later this morning, maybe early afternoon at the absolute latest as a Category 5 hurricane. Who's going to get the core of this system in western Jamaica? That's kind of a now thing. We're figuring that out as we go over the next several hours. This continues as a powerful hurricane north of Jamaica. Makes landfall into eastern Cuba sometime tonight. The time has backed up a little bit. Maybe it was going to be this evening, now late tonight in eastern Cuba. Look at these whiplashing rain bands, things like that. Goes right over eastern Cuba. It's going to cause a lot of issues. And then this comes up And on the H-Wharf model, slams Crooked Island, the Acklands, and just this portion. I mean, look, back this up. This is around midday tomorrow, early afternoon. We got the northern wall of this hurricane just slamming Long Island. It's going just right through Crooked Island here. The eye of this hurricane. Now, the structure of it will begin to kind of fall apart, but it will still be a powerful hurricane going through this area. Not a lot has been mentioned about the Bahamas. A lot of attention's been on Jamaica, rightfully so. But a lot of attention after Jamaica is going to be towards Bahamas as far as what's going on currently. Of course, we got to figure out the aftermath in Jamaica, and we will. But as we continue to move forward, there is Bermuda. This is getting into late Thursday evening. This is getting into the overnight period, Thursday night. And I mean, this is a 3-hour period. Bermuda's right here. This is 3 hours. Then Bermuda's down here. So this thing is booking it. So you're going to get a few hour period, literally probably quite literally just a few, maybe a 3 to 5 hour period of maybe hurricane force conditions for a time. And then this moves away and then it heads on out. And this thing becomes post-tropical. HFA model, this could end up being correct. Likes more so of kind of the central Bahama coastline. So maybe closer to say, I'm going to take a look at this really quick. Now, closer to say, that, let's see, definitely not Kingston. Come on. It's not pulling up for me for whatever reason, but closer to say that Treasure Beach area. And around that area, it makes landfall sometime later this morning. It still has it sub 910. And I could see that happening. It goes right over the west central areas of Jamaica. I mean, this would significantly impact areas like Mandyville. It would go up towards Brownstown, Runaway Bay, and the devastation inland is going to be huge. It's going to go over the higher terrain. And just remember, and I haven't mentioned this, and I feel like I should have, but the higher elevations will get stronger winds. There's stronger winds aloft, above where you're actually standing here in Jamaica. So if you live in some of these higher elevations, just inland here in Jamaica, the winds are going to be even stronger potentially. Now, the higher elevations will weaken this dramatically in a pretty short amount of time. It'll disrupt the low-level center. But will this try to intensify again between Jamaica and eastern Cuba? I think there's a possibility, but I think the window is short. But it actually makes landfall well after midnight tonight in eastern Cuba, and then comes up and kind of just goes right up between the Acklands, Crooked Island, and these areas right in here. I mean, the center, model guidance has really liked this area right here, the Bahamas, for a while now. Turks Caicos Islands getting rain bands, but got tropical storm warnings up, but nothing too crazy, nothing you guys can't handle. This is around tomorrow afternoon, going right through the Bahamas, and then it gets past, and we got to watch Bermuda after that. It gets well west of Bermuda on this model run as we get into the wee hours of the morning, Friday morning. So what about these winds? Here they come. H-Wharf model. We're going to just look at wind speeds, not gusts. But this area and kind of this salmon, dark salmon, almost red color here, that's wind gusts well over hurricane force, which is 75 mile per hour winds or higher. But this just kind of area here in reddish salmon color, that is 100 mile per hour winds, which extend pretty good ways away from the center. But at the same time, those higher end, 175 mile per hour wind gusts is right up against that eye. So the inner eye wall. So please don't think you're going to get 175 mile per hour winds 30 miles away from the center. It's not going to happen. But the H-Wharf model brings the eye wall, these 100 mile per hour plus winds, pretty much across the entire western area of Jamaica. Who's going to get the eye wall? And who's going to get the infamous kind of northeast east quadrant where it brings all this rain? Because remember, this is spinning just like this. Who's going to get the onshore flow of that eastern and northeastern eye wall? Whoever does will get the worst storm surge. So we just got to figure that one out. And we're about to. But this continues. The wind field probably begins to broaden, and we're going to get just probably anywhere from 50 to 110, 120 mile per hour winds across eastern Jamaica. But of course, if you live in the far eastern tip of Jamaica, winds might not be as bad It's going to be kind of in this area right here. I'm sorry, of Cuba. I apologize, of Cuba here. So if you live in this area, which if we go back, look at this. If you live in all these towns right into here, you're going to get at minimum 50, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. But you're also going to get probably 100 to 110, 20 mile per hour wind gust also occasionally. So, you know, this continues and the wind field broadens. And I mean, in this area here in the pink salmon color, I mean, that's hurricane force wind gusts. Anytime I say that, that's 75 mile per hour wind gusts or higher, going right through the southern Bahamas. And then we just got to see where the core of this system, you know, the H-Wharf model slams Bermuda with hurricane force winds for a few hour period. Not necessarily sustained, but at least on and off. But it's only a few hour period. And then this goes on to become post-tropical. HFA model has this further to the east a little bit. So this would bring more of those impacts from that eye wall a little bit further to the east, Treasure Beach. And I know I keep mentioning that, but you know, those areas. And this would bring extreme winds into central to west central sections of Jamaica. So this afternoon, things are going to be crazy in Jamaica. Kingston, eastern end of Jamaica, you're going to continue to see tropical storm force wind gusts all day, an occasional hurricane force wind gusts of 75, 80 miles per hour with some of these bands. But your neighbors and your family to the west, these are going to be the areas. So if you live in eastern Jamaica, you're like, man, this is not bad at all. I'm telling you, 5 miles makes a huge difference when you get close to the center of that hurricane. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert in chasing hurricanes, but I have chased about 5 or 6 of them. And I've chased a high-end Category 4. When I tell you that there's a huge difference between the outer and inner eye wall, I mean it. I mean, things get crazy fast. So just remember that as this thing is approaching, okay? So if you're thinking right now, it's not that bad in Jamaica, just don't let your guard down. Okay, but the HFA model gets this, and it impacts more of eastern Cuba with these winds. And then, I mean, the center of this storm goes right through these islands here in the Bahamas with hurricane force winds extending, you know, probably a little bit further out compared to what it is now. In fact, not probably, likely, as the wind field broadens. So then we got to watch. Look, I mean, that's an 80 mile per hour winds, not wind gusts. And Bermuda, you know, as we're getting into the wee hours of the morning Friday. So you're going to get a period of some nasty conditions in Bermuda. This is a chance to see hurricane force winds, 74, 75 mile per hour winds or higher. Bermuda right now, you're at that 10 to 20% chance. That probably will increase, but you know, you're up to that 50 to 60% chance in areas of the Bahamas here. And of course, it's pretty much a lock in Jamaica. And this is how much rainfall is forecast. Not much has changed from this overnight. You know, pause the screen if you need to, but the rains will continue to be horrible. You know, and you know, one thing that we got to watch out for is Cuba too. Higher elevated regions here in eastern Cuba, and that area in pink, that's where 20 to 30 inches of rain could fall, and rain will continue to be devastating here in Jamaica. But you know, kind of focusing a little bit more on eastern Cuba, eastern Cuba. And Bahamas. If I do mix up any kind of islands here, it's not intentional. Just sometimes what I'm trying to say gets ahead of it coming out, if that makes sense. But, you know, the Google DeepMind members here zooming into this area of Cuba here, which pretty much follows what the National Hurricane Center is saying. But I will tell you that the ensemble guidance is a little bit further west than the actual cone and some of these hurricane models. So it actually lies between Long Island and Crook Island, somewhere in here. And then we move a little bit up the road, and most of the ensemble guidance lies west of Bermuda. But some of these members still hit the Avalon Peninsula, southeast Newfoundland. That's why we got to continue to watch out. Folks, to sum this up, this thing has pretty much achieved everything we thought it would. You know, we talked about, and it wasn't just me, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but many people talked about the potential for this to become one of the strongest hurricanes on record in the Atlantic. Wind speeds, I mean, it's not going to break the record here. Pressure, it's not going to probably break the record either, as I think we're in the 880s with Hurricane Wilma, I think that was. But it is it is going to be a catastrophic situation here in Jamaica. And this is the water vapor loop. The environment continues to be prime for this system. The only thing stopping it at this point is just it's getting north. It's going to encounter dry air, more wind shear. And what's stopping it in the next 24 hours is just land interaction with Jamaica. But I mean, you got this outflow extending out. You got this tight core of moist air. And you can see the dried out eye right here. I'm praying for you guys. I'll be thinking of you guys in Jamaica all day. And I just want to thank you for the support with covering this storm system. And I'm wishing you guys all the best, praying for y'all. And, one thing that I've read on social media, because there's been a lot of bickering between Americans and Jamaica and the weather community. And I'm not taking sides, but I will say, let's not assume things about Jamaica. Let's not assume things, and let's not assume they're not ready. And the way they are speaking shows great strength, and it's honestly inspiring to read. It really is. It fires me up for you guys, and it really does. And it just kind of brought a little bit of a chill down my neck, and it fires me up, the mentality that you have for this hurricane on the way. It truly does. Just the mentality you're approaching. Can that be dangerous? It can. I don't want you guys, my family here in Jamaica, to take that mentality and to let your guard down. And I don't think you are. But I know that will fuel y'all to recover much faster than anybody believes. So I'm thinking of y'all. I'm praying for y'all. It seems like you already got the strength part down. And that strength is faith, guys. That's faith. And we could all take a piece of that and apply it to our own life. So that's all I got. Thank y'all for everything. Thank you for the support. Let's get through this Jamaica. Let's get through this Eastern Cuba, the Bahamas, Bermuda, and then let's salute and sound off hurricane season and move on to other things in the weather world. God bless y'all all, and we'll talk again soon.